Good day or good evening. This is Regina's Rabbit Hole. This is Regina's Rabbit Hole. Just want to talk about some imprisonment. This is some more of the perception. The perception side of it. Yep. Good day, love. Or good evening, Ellen. Yeah. Going over some TI stuff. Targeted individual. And I was thinking about our perception. How it's very easy to separate things in our mind, but for this evolution, for this leap that we're making as a collective consciousness. For instance, those people, many people pass away, say if there's mass deaths. Hate to use 9/11 again, but that's just like the perfect example that we have right now that most people can relate to. Perfect example because that's the collective consciousness. Most people can relate to it. That's an access point for recalling on a mass level that ish needed to change. Something was wrong. There were different viewpoints on what happened with that perception, different things that the American population zeroed in on versus the world population, versus the sciences that we started to investigate, versus protocol that we started to investigate, versus the way the news runs that we started to investigate, versus ourselves and the way we felt about it and our emotional connection to it all. Whether we were empathetic towards those bodies falling from out of the building. So, and the footage without music, the footage with music, with people actually drawing on that emotional energy. It was also very interesting watching the scenario, looking at the prism, the different facets of the way that we look at things. And so we had an us or them scenario, and then realized that us or them scenario was not only multifaceted, but a big smokescreen. Because the they was us. We learned that our government had a lot to do with what happened on that occasion, which is the reason why that's a perfect example for the multifaceted prism aspect that I'm getting ready to get into, with comparing how we segment things in our minds. This is gang stalking related, TI related, for all prisoners. Human trafficking type stuff we're getting ready to get into. There's a prison inside and there's a prison outside. How did this thought kind of came up while looking at Brother Abdul Shakur? I've been seeing a couple of his podcasts, and on one occasion he had mentioned he had a solution-based attempt to bring the perception of the imprisoned man and the perception of the incarcerated's interaction with the judicial system in a scholastic way. Okay? So they crossed all the I's and dotted the T's. I listened to the attempts and the work that was put into the book. There was a book that they put out to teach people about the incarceration system from the viewpoint of the melanated man. And it was approved and then it was disapproved. So I'm listening. I'm listening to an educated man growing an audience, being in touch with the community, sharing his life story. I'm listening to the parallels and the dynamics of what he's doing compared to what I'm experiencing as a targeted individual, and how he's trying to educate people on this massive freaking system that's like a giant invisible hand. A lot of people don't even realize how the judicial system works. It goes into the straw man. It goes into the court systems. It's a very tricky, sticky, nasty freaking business. You get caught in that, you don't have the right resources, and kaboom. It's like a spider's web. It's like a Venus flytrap plant. Okay? It's like a Vietnam freaking manhole. It's like a rabbit trap. Okay? Where they put spikes in the bottom of a hole and cover it with leaves and stuff, and hope that you're not paying attention and fall in, kind of thing. And so with the technology, with the absence of information, the absence of us wanting to know information, forever always watching the blockbuster or the fight or some sports, or engaged in what was provided for us by way of entertainment, by way of release, which is not release, it's investing back into the system, because energy never dies, it only transfers. So this is all changing, a part of the prism, all changing our perception. Okay? All changing our perception. So I'm listening to Brother Abdul Shakur share his life story and educate, having to deal with the dynamics of not being able to change your reality without educating, making an adjustment in the world around you. And the way that you do that is by way of education. Age of Aquarius, Age of Enlightenment, pouring out wisdom. Okay? This is a tide changer, a game changer, as they say. Now, he's broadcasting from jail, from prison. And I'm listening to the strength, the hope. I'm listening to his story. And I'm researching, of course, the parallel dimensions to my own story and how they updated the prison system. And we have the Neuralink, the quantum D-wave mechanics computer that keeps track of mass amounts of information. Okay? We have a whole system that is supporting the entrapment and the, sorry, there was a distraction. There is a distraction. Supporting the entrapment and the imprisonment, although the prison is invisible to most people. Although the law that shouldn't be a law, or the corrupt law, is invisible to most people. For the regular judicial system, those strings and the language, and all those occult stuff that we get into when it comes to talking about the straw man is invisible to most people. Okay? So breaking that down and teaching the people around you all that stuff is a whole entire process to even initiate an action. So as an individual or as individual groups, we are finding that we're running into these problems, although it's still fantastic that we're even attempting to work on them again, seeing how all our leaders were martyred, every single one, sending a frequency of fear through the collective, sending different messages to different people in the same way that 9/11 distributed a paradox, a plethora of different messages to different cultural dynamics, okay, that have co-signed or made agreements and paid in to different systems. It was saying different things. In the same way that the judicial system says different things, depending on your education. If you're a lawyer, if you're a judge, you have a different level of education and know-how, the way our government and country works. If you know about the strong man, or depending on how advanced you are in it, if you're a Mason and you've studied this stuff, okay, that gives you a whole different dynamics and stuff to the judicial system, and the way that they decide to pick some people and not others. If you look at organ harvesting, okay, if you look at how much money melanated people or poor people in general, the people who don't have the economic power within our communities, how the jails are full of them versus people with economic power or more more prominent within our societies, like say public officials or entertainers or people who are frontmen, gatekeepers and stuff like that. They seem to be able to just slide through the judicial system and have less accountability versus, for instance, a youth or a grown man getting crazy time for a first-time offender for a small amount of marijuana or some other substance versus someone trafficking who has a truckload or a car loaded of crap, a whole bag full of it or whatever, and as a repeated offender, and because they were able to have monies and they were affiliated, walks away, okay, is able to move around, is able to go and step out of the way of the damage that he so-called did. But that other person without those economic means is not able to do that. And so economics is very important to withhold economics. How do you withhold economics? We've been talking a lot about comparing. That's what I'm talking about, comparing. We're talking about a yin and yang. We're talking about a dominant system. We're talking about a dominant system of distorted male energy that is bullying and distorting other men within our society, pushing them into a position of female submission because of lack of economic freedom. They can't freely move about the planet. Okay? Status-wise, the social stratosphere that's supposed to be there is not being utilized, is distorted. Okay? So you have this human trafficking, the TIs. Now, most men that are in the inside prison system, the judicial system that most people can see with their eyes, there's many different dimensions to this. We can clearly see, even if you do wake up, okay, you start to investigate. The judicial system is messed up. We see the straw man. We see the history. Okay, bada bing, bada boom. You zero in on that. You learn some laws and stuff. You learn about yellow fringe on a flag. You learn about no fringe on a flag. You learn about certain things you can say and not say with a judge, and You decide on whether you want to do that or not, whether that's your battle, your fight, whether that's your square, right? How much of that do you want to invest your time in learning? And how much are you going to do? So each category that you run into in regards to this big giant monster of a matrix has a decision attached to it in regards to how someone that's stuck in, basically, in one form or another, a female disposition against this giant monster because they don't have the economic power or the proper affiliations, or what they're doing is interfering with those people that are plugged in. Some of the people are political prisoners, just like Abdul Shakur that I was speaking of. I'm using him as the dynamics because most of the men, it's males that are imprisoned in this prison that we can see with our eyes. But the other one that we're just starting to get an inclination about, the prison for our minds, is much, much deeper. This is the quantum D waves mechanics computer that we need to start heads up, eyes open. Okay? The matrix is real. It has been for quite a while. And they've been upgrading. And you've had plenty of research material. And people have died without even knowing what hit them. They didn't even know what hit them. Okay? How's that for comparing? And how's that for a prison for your mind? Most of the people in this quantum D-Waves computer and the TI program are women. Yep. Now, I was making some comparisons, some light ones. The men that are in the regular judicial system are incarcerated usually due to economic related crimes, lack of money, they rob stuff, right? Fighting territorial space related. It's totally circumstantial due to environment, and that's why people spread out more. The environments are, even frequencies are put into the environments to provoke animosity with sirens and lack of jobs and chemtrails. Prince was talking in the 70s about how chemtrails came through and all of a sudden people started wanting to kung fu fighting. Huh. I did a video on that a while back. So he noticed that when chemtrail planes came through and they started spraying, that there was a difference in the overall mood of the community. And he was witnessing this as a youth. And he was speaking about this in the 70s. Much love to Prince. Now, also domestic related issues with women. The off balance in male and female energy and the economic stress and pressure and the lack of knowledge about coupling, our lack of knowledge about each other, our lack of interest in each other, our devaluing of each other, all the things that we were unable to tend to or didn't realize that we needed to tend to while we were sleeping. We were killing each other, destroying each other, and thought we were the enemy, instead of bringing ourselves closer, doing comparison on the other end of the pole. There's no balance. Now we need to come more toward this way. I'm hurting. I'm going through this frequency thing, like being hit hard. Alex, the more you mention it, seems like the more that stuff happens, or the more that you handle your business, sometimes the more you get hit. It's let's move forward. So also the men in jail have mental illness related offenses where instead of being in an institution, a lot of them find themselves in jail, or because of drug related offenses. Say they were because they were fixed in a lifestyle where they needed to have drugs, and that gives you a mental illness. It's stated as a mental illness, drug addiction. It sets you in a compulsive thing. Things like cocaine, they have classifications for certain, being addicted to certain substances because of the way that it drives a person's brain. And then when you add on the aspects and elements of what we know now about government stalking and the herding that's going on, and the organ harvesting, and the programs, the homeless and stuff, and the chipping and the MK programming that's being done to the population, to one part of the population while the other one is sleeping, and the exploitation of this population when certain people get in trouble, or when certain people want to get a lift up in society and hit and move across that stratosphere, how they're seems they have to I want to say lick balls. They're really let's put it this way, we're being very raw. This is wartime. This is spiritual war, and it's about commerce. It's about economics. We're United States of America, corporate America. Okay? Talking about the dollar, the money. Talking about investing in a dead thing. Anyway, I'm going to move away from that. Okay? So that's why I say that the men are placed into a position of female submission. Any men without economic power. Any man. You see the fear and the programming the MK says. Do you see that guy with 5 companies get wiped out by that big conglomerate? They just wiped his little butt off the face of the earth, and he had big money. He's gone now, forevermore. Some of them jump out the window. Remember Wall Street? Remember Black Wall Street? So economics is used as a systems, a means of control. People can't work together. They get pitted against each other naturally. And this is also a means to control the poor, regulating the poor. Social services versus the American population. Rigging the game. Influenza. Those are books, by the way, I just named. Now, the women who are part of the TI, this invisible, this Neuralink, right? Not even the prisoners and stuff, everybody's attached to this Neuralink now. And so complicated and advanced. I've been doing some research here and there on it, just, relaxing my way into it. You got to ease your way into this. Concepts of quantum, and then what they're doing with the computers, and then add it to your knowledge that I just spoke of with the straw man, with realizing that the whole idea that you were free to begin with, regardless of what color you are. If you have a social security number, you were mad. Just didn't see the phone. But there's a lot of error. Women are being led into herded into the category where you have mental illness and drug addiction, DCF. Women are a lot more angry because of the imbalance and the society, suppressed anger, even in the planet itself. It's changing the program, the frequency. So women are angry, and women are ending up in jail due to domestic angry related problems, breaking, smashing windows, offending men, challenging men physically, having to defend themselves because there's no one to defend for them. There's no one to step in or intercede for them. So they may find themselves having to do it, rightfully so, because there's no brother or cousin or uncle or friend to step in. No organization, no, you know what I'm saying? Those things are not, they were never properly put there. And whenever they did start to get put there, like I said, all our leaders were assassinated. The Black Panthers program was dismantled due to intel and government interference. So we see, everybody sees, it's right there. You can read it in school now, the historical interference of the government. And it's like a badge, like, yeah, if you try to do anything, we're the bully. And there's nothing you can do about it. It says it right here. Glamorizing the Illuminati that's given itself a face of being a white man. Well, that's not so at all. It's not particularly 100% true. Although when you start getting to the top of the tiers and certain other things, it goes into bloodlines. It is about bloodlines. And that's why the male and female interaction is controlled by way of economics, by way of hurting men. When you do the research, they herd the men mostly of a certain age dynamic into the prisons so that they can't populate. It's that age where they would be producing children or contributing to society. Okay? The age when they say, what, piss and vinegar? They're full of kundalini. They had a lot of energy, right? And then at a certain point in your life, when after life has beat the heck out of you and you're programmed in a particular way, by way of frequency, you're set into a tone. Your atonement. Pay for your sins, right? You went to jail. But what about all those other suckers, vampires, who bleed the system that had the money to pay their way out? Did they go to confession and pay the church to relieve them of their sins? When karma came to get them and their livers rotted or their hearts failed, did they go out and pay a policeman or some organization for melanin or an organ from somebody they shot or just grabbed from off of the street so that they could just replace their stuff? Let's get really freaky with it. Did they feed a whole populace McDonald's food that's supposed to have nanobots and human remains in it that also has black magic on it? And if black magic doesn't exist, why the freak is there a pine cone? And why is there a pine cone in the Vatican? Why are they copying all the religious artifacts from the triple black goddess, the female energy that's been removed from our culture? It's also been imprisoned, been encapsulated, been bottlenecked. There's no flow for us to dream when you take God and stick it in a lamp like a genie you know, where you have to know how to like rub it, or you know have to know the right combination, but you're lying to people. They don't even know the freaking lock is there or the lamp is there. You told them not to even touch the lamp. Meanwhile, you rubbing all on the lamp, licking the lamp, having tea, putting juice in the lamp, doing all kinds of stuff with the lamp. Somebody stole my stuff. There's a poem that's so well done from a black actress. I can't remember her name right now. Somebody stole my stuff. Deep, 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 deep. She was talking about women, how somebody stole their stuff. Anyway, to be imprisoned. The way we look at our right to defend ourselves, okay? You learn about that when you look at the straw man and the legal system. The way we look at our right to defend ourselves has a lot to do with the indoctrination. Not asking questions. The level of education, being comfortable that those who get the other particular education will have our best interest in mind if we go ahead and specialize in this over here and we segment ourselves. I'm just going to call it specialization. Just take that little, just that tip right there and forget that doesn't work without the ink, and the rest is a thing that's sustaining the cartridge in there and what it's made out of and where it came from. Just ignore that part. Just boom. Pay attention to this dot. Just the dot. Where'd the dot come from? That's on a need-to-know basis. And if you figure out where the dot came from, just gonna find that. Those are the dynamics I'm giving right now. Boom. One, the prison system that we do see. And then when you look deeper, you find this big freaking mess, this monster that you feel like you'll never get to the end of. And then boom, you find a whole nother system, okay, that people didn't even realize there is attached to a neural net of a big giant freaking computer that sets you into a sci-fi scene, okay, putting you with Sophia Stewart's book called The Matrix and the Third Eye, Technology and all, okay? And the Terminator, boom, time travel, Shern, and it all adds up. That's the disclosure and the juicy bits, okay? So, the off balance in energy. Energy never dies, it only transfers. Somebody's getting their butt whooped. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to go back and forth in time. You wouldn't need to feel like you needed to tamper with anything. You wouldn't feel like you needed to imprison anybody. What does it take to hold down all these people? I already mentioned food, right? Okay. Within the food, tampering with the genetic code within the food. Taking vitamins and minerals out of the food. So you have to put them back in the food. So now you have to spend energy because that's going to cost money. So money is a form of energy, like the essence of what you did, trickled down as if you bought an oil and squeezed a orange and bought some orange essence oil. Okay? That you can use for various different things. Okay? It's organic. You can use it for juice. You can use it for air freshener, air aromatherapy. You can put it on your body. Put it in your bath water. So you have all these different layers going on that have to do with economics and perception. you run into with this computers and stuff also occult black magic. Okay, the words praying, you know, when you end up with the church and the cabals and the use of people's dates of birth and the straw man, it all adds up. It's a big freaking mess. You're dealing with witches and warlocks, sorcerers. And the words, it's grammar, glamour. Words build worlds. They whirl, they spin around, they change perceptions, and they cause us to be displaced. We're a displaced people. Oh yeah, whirls. The whirlers, those people who dance, that was just a side note, is that these people, they do this dance called whirling, and they're also a displaced people. And now whirling has to do with movement and dance and frequency and vibration and the whole concept of the body and stuff, and their whirling being a religion. I was just thinking, it's also attached to these lost tribe scenarios. Okay, that's on a whole nother dimension. But it had me thinking about our religion being off, who's controlling it, that they're actually using our stuff. Don't get me started at that right now. The triple black goddess, and the fact they're wearing dresses and kissing the moonstone and the Mecca, traveling around just all the symbolism and stuff, but not coming out and giving credit and honor to what the whole system is built on, which is the female motherly frequency. But it's in the background. It's part of the technology and stuff like that. With the Mary and Isis and stuff like that. It goes by many different names and stuff like that. Morphing, like the telephone game, throughout different cultures. Just like information. How people see melanated people or poor people in another country, in a foreign country, where they get their own form of indoctrination on what American culture is. It's a Wonderful Life, In Living Color, Fox News, Coming to America, ooh ha ha, 5-star, you know, what kind of images are they seeing? The form of indoctrination, the American dream. Come over here and the streets are paved with gold. Capoya. Okay? Come over here and if you're willing to pay, you can play. Come over here and you can have the right to, some of them, seen as blacks or darks or poor or seen as lesser than in their own countries, which is the reason why they ran here, and then was swallowed up by the sensation, the insatiable desire or delicious temptation that they give others to be able to piss all over the poor and the melanated within the American culture. Like, that's a rite to passage. You know, you earn your way to do that. Like the white people. It's one of the things that they teach. That's part of the indoctrination, how they depict. Don't get mad at me. That's the way they're depicting these images. So if we don't like them, we need to change them. Or do you like that image of being the one, the bully, that one? Says, yeah, we're the bully and there's nothing you can do about it. I already said that before. Nothing you can do about it. Part of the MK, part of the fear tactic, part of that Nazi paperclip mind control stuff is to let you know there's nothing, nowhere to go and nothing you can do about it. To herd people into different sections and confuse people and do sleight of hand and all that kind of stuff. So women are put into the targeted individual program, and the men, a lot of the men are ending up in the imprisonment program in another dimension. And then within the social construct are also, because of economics and because of lack of education and technology, the religious systems and stuff like that. And on top of that, the Neuralink and the systematic mind control, making them fight each other, making us fight one another. Many different facets of the culture within this melting pot are fighting each other. So you have foreigners who come over already indoctrinated into the melting pot to assume their position, to play their role. Letting economics be the forefront, not respect or heart consciousness or shareable waves, but money. Money that's attached to this big monster of a spirit that's getting its butt kicked right now or going into transition. Or the snake that eats itself, it's going to take a while. It's a big mamma jamma. I'm going to choke on this sucker for a minute. A lot of us are coughing. Purge, 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 purge. So our coupling is off. Okay? Spirit versus economics. We are unevenly yoked to receive, to conceive a light code frequency, to be loved, to be a shareable wave. Human trafficking. This Trump thing, I just want to say, is confusing and has many different facets to it. It's not what it seems. There's a lot of different things going on. There's a big monster being fought, and there's many different avenues and facets of it. I'm just starting to look in now this bill or information that was passed in Congress about human trafficking is amongst it, and it covers the TIs. If you look at the information, I'm trying to go back and find the video that I was looking at with another woman who is a targeted individual from a foreign country who I have to pee so bad, and I got a headache. Oh gosh. Okay, I got to get her video so that you can know what the heck I'm talking about. When she found the evidence and stuff, the paperwork with Trump that classifies TIs as falling into the human trafficking category. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Okay, so woosah. Much love to you and yours. This is Regina's Rabbit Hole. I hope I gave you some better dynamics on this. I'm gonna abruptly end it right now. Thanks for listening. I love you. I love me.